Hello everybody and welcome to the final episode in the Adventures of Chael Sonnen. Yeah, I know, this is the last episode, and that's because this episode runs up the remaining fights in Chael's career until the game forces me
Well, the
to
idea is
retire.
that it takes a photograph
But
and you
don't
can
worry,
use
this is not the last
you
you
can
will
use
see
that
of UFC
photograph as a
3.0,
standard photograph.
UFC Undisputed 3, sorry.
So
There
if
will
for some
be
reason you
more of
feel, do
this
you know
game
what
played on the
do you know
channel.
what my Facebook page
I
needs?
am yet to pick a new
Photograph of
fighter. I
Spider-Man.
have dabbled with some Brock Lesnar the boxer, but I'm not totally confident that
Damien
that is the way
Maya.
to go with this. So I've dabbled with it and I've actually recorded a bit of it, but I'm not totally sure I'm happy with it quite yet. But
So
I'm definitely putting.
recording.
This is definitely going to be the last episode of the Chael Sonnen career. Now, what I want
When I
to
say now I'm
ask you
recording, I'm
guys
recording the whole
is,
playthrough, but the bit
have
that's
you got
going
any
in the video
recommendations
is
for fighters
that
in
from
this
there
game?
to the end of the
I
fight.
mean, I have thought about doing a Chuck Liddell. I also considered Rampage Jackson or Brock Lesnar or Roy Big Country Nelson. I do think I've got to go to a higher weight division in the next series, and go with it rather than go with a more power-based fighter. So I am thinking, well, maybe Lesnar could work, or I might even pick up Dan 7 like I did in my personal playthrough that you guys haven't seen. That was just me trying to teach myself the game, really, playing Dan 7. But I haven't totally decided what my player's going to be yet. But obviously, in this fight, we're battling Damien Maya, and it's pretty much of a muchness. I didn't know how many fights I had left in my career because the game doesn't count down how many fights you've got. But I think it gives you something like 20. But so what I was doing was I was just doing much of a muchness as I do with Chael in this game, and damaging the head and then going for head kick knockouts, and I'm able to rock the guy with head kicks, and then leave him to it. So I wanted the knockout because I wanted the visual of the kick and then the boom knockout, you know.
Yeah, baby, come on.
So that's what I was aiming for with this one. But you know, I eventually got there. But what I want with this game is, to be fair, what this game is all about to me personally is it's just about having a bit of fun playing a fighting game. It's very different to pretty much everything else on the channel, because at the moment I'm running Final Fantasy VIII, I'm running Pokemon My Ass, Pokemon Naranha, Tom's Chat Room, stuff on Pokemon Showdown with Smurfette. So what this is all about is this is something different to the channel that I'm dabbling with, and it is a fun game to play. And there is still a lot of life in it. For example, I mean, in this game, all I wanted to do with Chael was win the title, and I can tell you guys now, as a slight spoiler for the end of the episode, I never got the title.
I've switched to striker now.
So anyway, we're in our next fight now against Belfort. Now we've fought Belfort about 100 million times, but he's up at the top end of the scale when it comes to the title run. So you've got to fight him to try and progress through and try and get that one last title shot. Because I knew I'd done enough fights in this game to know that I probably only really got time in my career for one more championship match. Because I knew for certain. Whilst I didn't know how many fights I had left in the career, I did know that I didn't have enough for 2 builds to number one contendership status. So I knew that this was my last chance, and losing a fight at this point could be critical. So I desperately wanted to put down these guys as quickly as possible. So I just stuck with what I know works, and just sort of went with my kicks and went in close to stop him from rocking me, because I was starting to find at this point that Chael was starting to slow down a little bit, because he was starting to get older. So I thought best thing to do is to keep myself dominant by going in close. The kicks were working. The kicks kept working though, as they always have done. And I know once I'm able to knock somebody to the floor with a kick, that pretty much they're putty in my hands. So I thought I'd try for the submission, even though it's not really my usual tactic. But it did work this time. So I obviously have improved Chael's submissions to a level that even I wasn't really paying much attention to. So we'll go into the next fight as soon as I'm announced the winner here. And our next fight, I skip all the replays as you always do, guys. But I waited for my announcement as the winner of that fight. And I've now got Anderson Silva. The thing is, this isn't a title match, because between this fight and the fight I had with Belfort, Anderson Silva lost the UFC Championship to Michael Bisping. So, a bloke who I've beaten 50 odd times beat Anderson Silva, who I couldn't even get close to. That made no sense, but I thought I did have the option at this point to fight somebody else, but I thought no, I've got to exercise the demon that is Anderson Silva. The demon that I have up to this point in my career only ever been defeated by. So I wanted to go into this fight, even though he's not the champion and I couldn't win the championship from him, I wanted to beat him. And I wanted to beat him as convincingly as possible. And I thought best thing to do is to pick upon him when he's recently lost the championship, so that I can take advantage, and that's what I hope to do. So I wanted to put down Anderson Silva, because this has been a career-long rivalry. Every time I have fought this man, he has beaten the living shit out of me, and I couldn't settle for that anymore. So I just wanted to beat him. And obviously, I didn't know how to beat him, because I've never beaten him. So I desperately wanted to beat him, and I thought, fuck no, he's got me in a submission again. I barely pulled free of that. But I was desperate to beat this bloke, and to prove that, and to basically make it that nobody I fought, nobody is undefeated against me. Apart from Vanderlei. Vanderlei is undefeated against me, but Vanderlei retired before I got the chance to beat him. But Anderson Silva, I was not going to let that happen. And I knew that Anderson Silva probably might pack in around about the same time I was going to, or even sooner, because he's older. He is actually older than I am. Because he's in his 40s in this game, so I definitely wanted to beat Anderson Silva and to prove that he's not just and to basically get this. I know it's not a racial slur at all. I wanted to get the monkey off my back. I wanted to exercise the demon. I wanted to exercise the demon that is Anderson Silva. I wanted to defeat him and prove that I could. And obviously I went into the second round, which is something I have done, I think, once before with Anderson Silva. But I certainly feel like he was starting to take damage from me. Now, I know my corner is suggesting to ground and pound, but my problem with ground and pound is he pulls me into like triangle chokes and stuff, and I do worry sometimes when he does that, because if he gets it in at just the right moment when I'm off guard, it's near impossible to break free. So I thought I'd stick with the kicks, because the kicks fucking work. Whilst they don't work against Anderson, I thought they work against everybody else. So, there can't be all that wrong. But I just wanted to do as little damage as possible to him whenever I could get close to him, just to try and do something to him. Obviously, I wasn't going to go with the double leg takedown because that tends to get me kneed in the face and knocked unconscious. I didn't want to go for I was very, very nervous about double legs, but eventually I got him with one, and I just absolutely kept stinging him here in the face. And I managed to get some damage done, and I could tell I was starting to damage him. I was starting to pick away. I was starting to pick away at Anderson Silva's health, I suppose, and start to pick him down and get closer to that elusive victory that has eluded me for so long. Eventually, this was an absolute turning point. Getting him onto the ground, slamming him onto the ground, something I hadn't done before. But again, he's pulled me into a choke of some. He's pulled me into like a triangle choke. Yeah, that's a triangle choke. He pulled me into a triangle choke, which worried me somewhat. But you know, because I have submitted to that triangle choke in the past. So instead I stayed back and just started kicking him in the legs, which I know looks really, really puffy and really, really weak, but it was doing damage, and I could tell I was hurting him because he was recoiling just as everybody else was to my kicks, which is something he's never done before. You know, so I wanted to hold my defences, and I knew I could take him. I was confident at this point that I was getting close. I got him onto his back and thought, sod it, I've got to try and choke him out. Alas, that wasn't going to work. His submission defense is too high for me, but I did come really, really close though. But I don't want him on top of me. God damn it, do I not want him on top of me? Kick, yes! And he is down, yes! And I finally, after four or five fights, finally exercised the Anderson Silva demonic curse that has been on me since the first time we ever fought. I beat Anderson Silva by knockout, and that is the sweetest knockout. Not sweet on the level that, oh, that is really cool, sweet dude, yeah, dude, where's my car? No, sweet as in it felt good to finally have defeated Anderson Silva. After all this time. After all this time, I finally have defeated Anderson Silva, and that, my friends, was a sweet victory. And even better that I knocked him so silly that he wasn't even there at the victory celebration. He was still sat being medically checked out. That means you've done a cracking knockout. At least that's the way I see it. But it was fantastic to finally exercise that demon. And then into the next fight. This is for the middleweight championship against Michael Bisping. This is probably my last championship match that I'm going to get. The last title match that I am ever going to get in my career, because there's no way I've got enough time to build up for another title match. And I was overconfident, to say the least. Well, I've beaten Bisping before. I can beat Bisping again. I'm going to take the title and retire with the bugger. At least that was the idea in principle. That was the idea in principle. But by now, if you guys have been watching this from the beginning, you know that when I get overconfident, shit goes wrong.
35 wins,
now,
10
defeats. Let's wait and find out, shall we?
Wesley Line.
So let's obviously, I left all of the introductions in based on the fact that Bisping will be beaten. Kevin Mulhall is refereeing this fight. And obviously I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to be the champion now, you know. I'm up against Bisping. He's not hard to defeat. I finally exercised Silva. I was on a high. But again, Not so sure it's a smart move to get overexcited about something. He's clearly the champion for a reason, as I would soon find out. Flooring me time after time after time after time. He's an he was turning himself. He'd become like a punching demon, and I don't know where all this was coming from because I've beaten this guy 5 times, I think, at this point. At least 3 times, you know. But alas, something wasn't right, and I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. He seemed to have improved incredibly, so I had to change my tactic halfway through and go for the ground and pound. Never did work out how to get out of that submission. My last championship, my last title shot, and I failed. Failed my last ever championship match. What's worse, I lost to Michael Bisping, who I've beaten multiple times. That made it so much worse. But alas, you try all you might, and it just didn't seem that it was destined for Chael to ever win the championship. But at this point, I was thinking, well, maybe I can build up for another championship match. I mean, all I've got to do is beat like the #1 contender. So I booked myself in with Mark Munoz, thinking, yeah, this is the way to start. You know, let's take this guy out and continue on as we plan to go on. So I got into the fight, sorry. I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to take this guy out. I'm going to take this bloke out in the first round and show my fucking dominance. That was the plan anyway. To take this fella out and put on a show of dominance that nobody, no fighter, no manager, no viewer could ever deny that Chael Sonnen still had it. Having lost 4 times to Anderson Silva, finally defeating him, then losing to Michael Bisping. So having, I think it was 5 championship shots in a long, illustrious, legendary career, but never winning the championship up to this point. And thinking, there's no way I can end the career without a title. I've got to try and desperately win this match. I've got to win this. This is a must-win, you know, an absolute fucking must-win. Pulling into for arm locks, anything I could to get somewhere near beating him. That's all it was about at this point. I have to win this fight and prove that I am worthy. And that's what I had to do. I had to prove that I wasn't losing it. You know, losing to Michael Bisping, having beaten him several times in the past, doesn't look good. It certainly doesn't look good, and I am very much a veteran fighter at this point. So, kicks galore. But I was just throwing anything at him to try and take this guy down. To try desperately and take this bloke down. That's all I wanted to do. Take him down. And take him down quickly and viciously. I had to win this one. This was a must win. Absolutely had to.
Shit almighty, 2 losses in a row now. That's the first time I've had 2 losses in a row for about, most of my career.
I got sloppy. I
lost.
At this point it was in the pudding. It was confirmed. I was never going to hold the championship. I knew this.
That's 2 fights I'm editing out.
Having lost this fight, I
Don't
knew
look at me, look at yourself.
I haven't got enough fights left. I'm not going to get the championship. And then it tells me, it says,
she was 11 years old.
book your retirement fight. That's what I did. I booked with somebody who I could beat and look good against. I wanted to look good in what may well be my last fight. And that's what I did. Punches, kicks, I thought I'd show off the entire, as much of the arsenal as I could. And just to knock this bloke out and show that I'm still the fighter I once was, because there's no fucking way I wanted to go out on a loss. I know the wrestling thing is on your way out, put over the new guy, but in this, because it's legitimate, I wanted to go out looking like an absolute bloodthirsty monster. That was the plan. I wanted to go out with a knockout victory. That's what I wanted. So all I wanted was to go out with a knockout. I was never going to hold the title, and I understood that. But I wanted to go out with a knockout victory. That's what I wanted. And I was very fucking worried at this point, thinking, Christ, he's got me. But I just managed to get myself free of that submission. Proper cinched in though. He got me back into it, but I managed to turn him, get out of it. And I was desperate at this point. I've got to knock this bloke out. I've got to beat this guy. I can't lose my last, most likely my last fight. I can't do it. That's not an option. That is not an option to me. I cannot lose this fight. I can't let that happen. But I've said that too many times in this long career of mine. But getting him rocked on the floor with punches, locking in that ankle lock, hoping just out of absolute hope that this is enough. Praying that this is going to be enough. Alas, he gets free. But I know I've got him now. I'm pretty confident I've got him because I've kicked him in the head and rocked him. And then he's saved by the bell.
Hey bro, this is the last fight in my career.
An absolute
I never won the title in my career, but this is the
bell
last one.
save there. A bell save from a knockout defeat by me. So onwards to the second round of this 3-round fight. Again, lost in hope that somehow I can defeat this guy and go out on my long, illustrious combat fighting career as a winner. It's not an option to go out as a champion, but I must go out on a win. That's the way I see it, and that's the way it's got to be. As it turns out, the gods seem to be smiling upon me relatively in this fight, because what I was doing was working. And then, as easy as that, this illustrious career that I, as Chael Sonnen, have enjoyed in the UFC, in Pride, and initially in the WFA, has climaxed. This career has reached its climax. And with that, guys, with that career reaching its climax, so too does this series. So there's like a closing video sequence that I want you guys to watch, and that's it. So thank you guys for watching this series. I bid you guys farewell. Goodbye, my friends. This has been an experience. It's been a journey, and it's been fun, my friends. Thank you, each and every one of you, for watching this series, for interacting with this series, for disliking the videos because you thought there was something that they weren't, for trolling the videos, for setting up YouTube accounts just to be negative. Everything that you guys have done, I thank you all for it. This experience wouldn't be the same without you. But this series is over, and I will return at some point in the near future with another series on this game when I decide which fighter I'm going to use. Goodbye.
After all the hard work, the cuts, the bruises, it's time to hang up your gloves. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest fighters on the planet, BJ Penn.
Chael will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Twice crazy, ladies and gentlemen. You single-handedly redefined martial arts in this country, and while you leave the sport with a few more scars than you started with, you also leave with the respect of your fellow fighters and the love of your fans. If it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do what I do in this octagon. Good luck, and thanks for